How you doing, YouTubers? This is one of the ones, and I wanted to talk to you about this book right here called the Necronomicon. Alright, real quick, this book was published in 1977. It is a book about incantations and spells, black magic, supposedly one of the most evilest books around. It's been featured in horror films. It's been made out to be really a bad fish. And believe it or not, it is a real book. But what is interesting about this book is that it is mostly Sumerian translations. 90% of this book has something to do with ancient Sumerian history, and the history is concerning their deities, their gods, and how to evoke them using these various spells and incantations, black and white magic. Well, the book has been made out to be something so bad that we shouldn't even touch it, or something would happen bad to us, but it's really just a book about ancient Sumerian history and information. So I'm going to start out reading to you something directly out of the book. I know you can't see it well, but I'm going to go ahead and read it here. There are primeval forces that were worshipped and summoned long before the creation of the Kabbalah. They are the ancient ones of the Sumerian faith, and they live on in the magic of Alister Crowley and the mythos of H.P. Lovecraft. They wait beyond the gate, ready to rule the earth once again. Sounds rather ominous. This "they wait beyond the gate" thing is going to jump out at you once you begin to touch. Aliens are opening and coming in and out of. So anyway, let's go on a little further here. I've got a few things. Pardon me, I'm having to hold the camera as I do this. I've got a few things marked out here that I'm going to read here. Alright. L.K. Barnes, on the other hand, has had no rest whatever from the signals and messages from the extraterrestrial intelligences that were the overseers and the guardians of this book's publication. He has been plagued by an unremittent chain of numerological events which he cannot ignore. The predominance of the numbers 13, 333, 555, 666, and others too arcane to bear mentioning have made his life a demonstration. And then they've got here, read demonstration, that's how they want us to read it, of Jungian synchronicity patterns. Alright, I'm going to stop right there because I've had this book for a long time, but I've only used it for just slight references concerning Sumerian translations and how these Anunnaki were at least seen in Sumerian times. But as of recently, I've been experiencing this numbers thing, and some of you are probably familiar with it: the 1111, the 1010, 222, 333, 444, all of that stuff. And it's been happening for quite a while, or actually since about December 2010, and this is now August 9th, 2011, so a little while here. Anyway, long story short, it was plaguing this guy, L.K. Barnes, and he was one of the people responsible for creating this book, and he says that it comes from extraterrestrial intelligences that were the overseers and guardians of this book's publication. And if you get into the book further, as we'll touch base on, we're going to find out what these intelligences are, and they are not good. Here's another part of the book. Since the publication of this book in December 1977, the ancient forces of erstwhile victory have been banging and clamoring at the gates. They want to get in, or they did then. December 1977 was the middle of the killing spree of the 44 caliber killer known to the press as the Son of Sam, who was motivated, according to recent reports, by membership in a satanic cult in Yonkers. Several months after the capture of David Berkowitz in 1978, nearly 1,000 people killed themselves in Guyana at the orders of a crazed religious leader. Several months after that, the leader of a mystical Islamic sect seized power in Iran, and at the time of this writing is calling for a holy war against the infidel, against the West. And we are experiencing the repercussions of this little writing right here, now, today. That's the jihad, that's the holy war. All right, another thing here going on. There is evidence that every New Age witnesses a baptism by fire. Christians and Muslims are turning on each other and themselves. Israel is once again in serious jeopardy. Buddhism is being eradicated in Southeast Asia as it was in Tibet. Now, man, 1977 and here we are at 2011, and these things both could be on the nightly news and we wouldn't know the difference. This is the exact same thing that we're going through. And let's read the first part about this. Every New Age witnesses a baptism by fire. And that's exactly what we're about to go through right now. At least a transition between ages, world ages. And if you know, it would be the transition from Pisces to Aquarius. But there's even a larger greater transition, which is one complete elliptic, which is about 100,000 years it takes our planetary system to traverse this distance in an elliptical orbit. Anyway, we're going to move on and we'll touch base here a little further. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about somebody named Alister Crowley, who you might be familiar with. Born on October 12, 1875 in England, in the same country as Shakespeare, Edward Alexander Crowley grew up in a strict fundamentalist religious family, members of a sect called the Plymouth Brethren. The first person to call him by that name and number, by which he would become famous after the reference in the book of Revelation, the beast, 666, was his mother, and he eventually took this appellation to heart. He changed his name to Alister Crowley while still at Cambridge, and by that name plus 666, he would never be long out of print or out of the newspapers, for he believed himself to be the incarnation of a god, of an ancient one, the vehicle of a new age of man's history, the eon of Horus, displacing the old age of Osiris. In 1904, he had received a message from what Lovecraft might have called out of space. Now I'm going to stop right there and say what I might have called outer space. All right, we'll continue. That contained the formula for a new world order. Now, I'm not going to be able to focus in on it, but it's in there. A new system of philosophy, science, art, and religion, but this new order had to begin with the fundamental part, the common denominator of all four, magic. All right, now, I'm sure you're probably familiar with, and if you're not, I'm going to say it. Washington, D.C., the topography, the street layout, the overview of D.C., the District of Columbia, is basically a gigantic oracle, or maybe I should say a talisman. It is a geometric configuration that increases their power. And if you don't believe me, check it out. It's in the shape of a pentagram, which is one of the most popular satanic associated symbols there is. So anyway, I'm going to read another thing here, and it says, there are those who believe that Crowley was somehow magically responsible for the Third Reich, and that's the Nazi Third Reich, for two reasons. One, that the emergence of new world orders generally seems to instigate holocausts, and two, that he is said to have influenced the mind of Adolf Hitler. Well, wow. Holocaust. Alright, well anyway, I'm going to break this down. I'm going to start it off on a second video. Thank you for listening. Over and out.